iyong mga mata. Nag-iisip kung paano ba kikita. Ipon mong pera, nasasaid na ba? Kaliwat kanan na rin bang iyong problema? Let's talk, pag-usapan natin ito. Don't walk, may sasabihin ako sa'yo. Sa salveses, iyo ang una. Sa salveses, solve ang problema. Lahat walang imposible. Sa salveses. Ang problema nyo ay pagnegosyo, halika dito. Makinig sa aking payo, ang mithiin sa bayan ng panalangin. At huwag mahiya na lumapit sa akin. Halika na dito sa salveses. Sa salveses, iyo ang una. Sa salveses, solve ang problema. Salveses, let's talk, don't walk, let's talk. Sa salveses, let's talk, don't walk, let's talk.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Salveses. Thank you to all of our regular viewers and subscribers. And if you're new here, thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel. We are Empower and Transform, and I am Salve Duplito. Coming up now, my partner, Warren De Guzman. Pasok!
Thank you, partner, and thanks to all our viewers. Yes, we are Empower and Transform, and our mission is to create empowering financial transformations sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Pilipinas at kahit saan mang bahagi ng mundo. Salve and I are financial journalists and personal finance professionals, and we are here to help you learn more.
At ngayong gabi, alam mo, partner Warren, nakakaaliw lang talaga na 30 minutes bago mag-start ang show, nandyan na sila Dayang, sila Ran, sila Ari, sila Matt, ang dami nating bisita lagi. Dahil sabi nga nila, parang naging habit na nila, no? Yung
Yes.
nung manood ng
Saturdays.
newbie daw si Aris. Hoy, wag kang ano dyan. Siya yata ang hindi uma-absent kahit isang beses. Uma-absent lang yata yan nung meron silang parang retreat ni Mrs. Pero ngayong gabi, we are going to dive deeper into the realm of cryptocurrencies. Balik na naman tayo, guys, sa
Yan.
crypto and digital finance by examining safety with somebody who lives and breathes security. Partner, ang guest natin tonight is a true blue retired FBI special agent. Dito nyo lang yan makikita sa Salveses. Katulad ng mga napapanood nyo sa mga action series at movies. Tinanong natin nga siya kanina, partner, di ba? Kung lahat ng FBI, kasing gwapo ba ni Fox Mulder at kasing ganda ni Dana Scully, hindi ko alam kung alam ng mga viewers natin kung sino yan. Ikaw, alam mo ba yun?
Alam ko naman yun, syempre. Paborito ko yung growing up. Nako, na-date tuloy tayo na ano.
Ay, gusto ko makita sa stream. Oo nga, hulaan nyo nga kung anong show yun si Dana Scully tsaka si Fox Mulder. Sige nga, gusto ko
Siguro, tignan
makita.
natin. Mamaya kung ano, kung may prize. Ano yung prize? A
Ah,
bottle of wine ulit. A bottle of
Flying kiss.
flying kiss from Salve. Nako,
Shout
okay
out
yan.
ko
Sulit
kayo.
yan, sulit yan. Tama yan, partner. Our guest actually worked as a police officer, FBI special agent, and legal attaché with decades of experience. But these days, he is a lecturer and consultant on technology and security, sharing his experiences from his previous jobs, as well as knowledge gained from his PhD from the Philippine College of Criminology and his Masters of Administration and Justice from the Wichita State University. Very impressive resume.
Oo, no? Pero ang pinakamasarap talaga, ang pinakamaganda dito sa guest natin ngayon, when he speaks, pwede na siya maging Pilipino eh. Hindi lang siya marunong magtagalog. Meron ng may sumagot na. Tingnan mo, the e-files
The
daw.
e-files. Nako, ako, 26
Ayun,
lang naman
anyway.
yung letter sa alphabet, di ba? So, pwede nyo
Hi,
ubusin.
Charm! Andito ang
Hi,
aking
guys.
kapatid na si Charm. Kumusta na ang ating tatay?
Kamusta kayo?
Okay. Anyway, ayan si Dayang. Exciting! We are sure to learn a lot later. But first, we have a short segment on security actually. Di ba, partner?
Yan, tama, partner. We want to share with all of you a few websites you should know by heart so that you can protect yourself and avoid getting scammed. Game, partner?
Okay, let's start with sec.gov.ph. Please, please flash on screen, scroll down to advisory. So, punta kayo dun sa website na yun, di ba? Ulitin ko lang, sec.gov.ph. Tapos, pag bumaba kayo dun, meron yan advisories tab under its latest information window right on the landing page. Mga kaibigan, ako, si Warren, lalo na ikaw, Warren, habang tumatagal, ma-experience mo to. I-email ka ng mga tao o di kaya magsisend ng private message sa'yo, scam ba to? Scam ba to? Scam ba to? Alam nyo, mas madali, punta kayo dito sa website na to kasi makikita nyo lahat ng advisories or warnings ng SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, laban sa mga investment scams going all the way back to 2011. Basta
Diba?
may advisory sa website. Ano ba nangyayari sa akin? Live po ito. Pag may inalok sa inyo na investment, automatic na dapat check nyo muna yung SEC.
Yes, absolutely. Tama yan, partner. And actually, yung mga reporter, dyan sila tumitingin din. Every day, kung may bago na lumalabas, at lalabas din nila sa mga dyaryo, sa mga TV shows, dyan galing yung, yung source ng information. Diba? So, pwede na kayong dumiretso sa SEC mismo. And partner, yung next na website na gusto nating i-share sa mga viewers, bsp.gov.ph. Dito, makikita si Bob, BOB or ang BSP Online Body. Artificial intelligence po ito ng Bangko Sentral kung saan pwede magreklamo ang mga financial consumers about everything related to banking, kung may issue kayo sa utang, interest, credit card, etc. At kung hindi kayo natutuwa sa kausap niyo sa bangko, pwede niyo nang idiretso dito kay Bob, B-O-B. Merong parang robot na mukha dyan sa bottom right side of the screen. You just click on the face and lalabas si Bob at pwede nyo nang gamitin yun. And also, pwede nyo nang gamitin yung Bob or yung search sa website para hanapin ang maraming information. Napakaganda ng search dito sa BSP. You can look for the registered virtual asset service providers or ang mga crypto exchanges and remittance companies. You can look for the registered electronic money issuers or yung mga electronic wallets, di ba? Yung mga sikat dyan, yung mga GCash, Paymaya, or you can also look for the operators of payment systems or digital payment service providers. Diba? Tignan nyo lahat bago kayo gumamit ng app na nakita nyo sa mga app shop o ganoon. Tignan nyo muna to sa website sa BSP kung registered na sila. Maganda talaga po ito. And last but not least, Salve, may gusto ko lang i-share the latest na hindi legitimate as reported by BSP, yung Laika. Hindi po sila accredited. Yung Laika Gems na narinig nyo.
Grabe ha. Kailangan straight. Yun nga para makita mo black and white talaga yan registered, hindi registered. Pero yun lang, problema talaga yung ibang mga tao, kaya naman hindi nire-register kasi pinupolitika, di ba? May mga ganyan. Guys, huwag na tayong ganun. Di ba? Ayan na nga yung proof Tapos hanap pa tayo ng mga rason. Huwag kayong makikinig na basta-basta. Kasi yung mga nagsasabi nun, sila din yung hindi talaga gumawa ng effort para magpa-register. Basta tatandaan natin, pag wala doon, mag-isip-isip na kayo, 'di ba? Nakakatuwa Warren, no? Meron ka ng kahit dito sa Facebook may pa-banner na ang Mommy Charm ng bayan.
Wow, ay grabe. Thanks,
Cute.
Charm.
Oo, nandito din ang aking best friend na si Carol De Leon Tobias. Linggo-linggo na
Hello.
po yan nanonood. Alright, last but not least, guys, ano na nga, review muna, review. Paki-chat sa Kumu, uno dawan, Carla, paki-chat sa Kumu, Facebook, YouTube, parang teacher lang. Ano nga yung unang website? Dali, Dayang, ano yung unang website? sec.gov.ph, bsp.gov.ph, and very good. Okay,
very good.
Very good. Last but not least, ang pse.com.ph at ang edge.pse.com.ph. Ayan, dalawa po yan. Bago maniwala sa mga nagpapanggap na stockbroker or sa mga hot tip na nakikita nyo kung saan sa ang Facebook group, tignan muna ang mga website na ito. May listahan po yan ang lahat ng active trading participants. Kung wala po sila dito, delikado yung pera nyo. Delix. Sabi nga ng mga batits. Ang Edge naman po, lahat ng balita tungkol sa mga listed companies ay dumadaan dyan. Alam mo, Warren, naalala mo nung mga bata-batang reporter pa tayo, di ba? Lahat po yan, hinihintay namin. Well, hindi ka na siguro, ako kasi matanda na, fax machine, friend! Nakaabang kami sa fax machine para lumabas yan.
Bago pa yung mga email, di ba?
Diba? Tapos unahan pa, meron pang iba. Matatago na ng mga unang nakaabang. So, yung ibang reporter, wala na maaabutan. Ngayon, kahit na hindi ka reporter, ordinaryong investor ka lang, you get the same information through these websites. So, take advantage of this. Ang Edge naman, lahat ng balita tungkol sa mga listed companies ay dumadaan dyan. Mahirap lang basahin kasi very technical nga, pero pwede naman po kayo magtanong kay Warren. Pero lahat ng info na kailangan nyo on all listed companies nasa Edge po.
Ayan, okay. So yan yung tatlong website, di ba? Actually, mga regulators yan talaga, self-regulators and yung local board. So keep in mind yung mga website na yan. And that's it for our special segment. I hope you're all better informed after that. And it is now time for our special guest who will inform us naman on cybersecurity.
Tingnan mo, pati aso ko, fan nitong special guest natin.
Oo nga, kanina pa yung binabati siya.
So everybody, please welcome retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent and Legal Attaché, Dr. Steve Cutler. Akyat na po. Hi, Steve.
Come on up.
What's up?
Well, hanging in and hanging on, my friends. It's very good to be here. I appreciate that. And magandang umaga, hapon or gabi, wherever your listeners and viewers are. I tell you, I've been watching some of the names come up on the screen, and they're everywhere, which is good. That's very, very good. So good.
All right. Ito,
Welcome.
para lang sa mga kakilala natin na nandito kasi tama si Steve ayan, nandyan, meron tayong taga-Italy, meron tayong nasa Middle East, nasa Malaysia, merong Jocelyn galing Dubai, sorry nag-shoutout na ako bigla. Si Elu nasa Middle East din, si Ces watching from Singapore, at yung mga pinakamalalayong lugar ng Quezon City, Philippines.
Hello. Ay, grabe.
Pero ito po si Steve, nasa napakalayong lupain ng Makati. Ay, pwede ko bang sabihin ang iyong location? Is that a security threat?
A secret.
Well, actually, we'll talk about that here in a couple of minutes. But I do appreciate I appreciate the warm reception from your puppy also, because I noticed that when the puppy was quiet, Warren mentioned my name and the dog started barking. But it was a happy bark. So that was good.
So, Steve, going to cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
because you've been in this field for maybe when Noah started talking about, the storm that was coming. When it comes to cryptocurrency and digital assets, what is the biggest security threat to investors today?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, and I like the way that you said that about what is the biggest threat to investors. So, cryptocurrency, which are things like Bitcoin, Ether, and so on, which is a little bit different than another type of coin called Stablecoin, which I'll talk about that because it has to do with the threat that you're willing to accept. When you talk about an investment, every investor must decide for himself, and puppies included, must decide for himself or herself what level of risk they're willing to accept. Some of us may want to invest only in what are called blue chip stocks, which would be things like the Meralcos and the Ayalas and so on. Those are pretty stable companies. They've been around for a long time, and the chances are, yes, they could fail, but the chances are they will endure and probably continue making money. However, others of us won't mind getting a little bit higher return on our investment and will invest in things like penny stocks, and also there's another way of investing called day trading. Some people, like Warren Buffett, invest for the long term. When they buy a company or buy stock, they're looking at it as buying a company that they're going to hold on to for a while and make their money that way. Others, it's constant. Every few minutes, every hour, they're buying stock, they're selling stock, and so on. And the day traders accept a much higher level of risk than someone like Warren Buffett. In fact, Buffett will tell you not to do that kind of stuff. Well, with cryptocurrency, if you're investing in cryptocurrency, you're running into the same type of problem, because if you look at the charts, cryptocurrency goes up. I think when I last looked, one Bitcoin was valued at about, I think it was about, well, it was several $1,000s. But it goes up and goes down. And so for a while, it's very, very high. Sometimes it was very, very low. If you're going to invest in cryptocurrency, buying parts of a Bitcoin or try to buy a full Bitcoin, you kind of have to pay attention to the market. And I would caution, at least at this point in their lives, I would caution most of your viewers against investing in something like Bitcoin, because I think it's highly speculative. If that fits your risk profile, well, good for you. But understand that you could very easily lose money as well.
I love that you don't mince words, Steve.
Well,
I love that that was a very strong statement, right? But it's the right thing. If it doesn't fit your risk profile, then don't
touch
right?
it.
But also remember, we wrote a post announcing this episode, and we said, to the moon, like what you said, Bitcoin can go from 30,000 US dollars to 60,000 in a couple of days, or TODASMOOOOON. Right? So it's either you gain a lot or you die.
And that is a key point. And if you're willing to risk that, well, good for you. Good on you. And also, if you buy it at, say, for example, 30,000 US dollars, if you buy a Bitcoin at 30,000 US dollars, and it goes up to 60, and you sell that Bitcoin, also good. If you just hold on to it and it drops back down, well, you felt good, but those were paper, those gains didn't really exist. And so it's something that every investor has to decide for himself or herself. So there's actually two things that I want to mention that are of real concern here, and I laid a foundation for some of it, but it's a lack of knowledge. And I think that's probably the biggest security threat to investors when it comes to whether it's Bitcoin or anything else, this cryptocurrency, is a lack of knowledge. And we don't often take time to study these issues. Quite frankly, one of the things that I really love about working with you and Warren and the rest of the crew is that you've taken time to help people understand what's going on. And because you have thousands of viewers across the world, there's obviously a lot of people who are trying to learn. And that's magnificent. And I really, I applaud that. I'm glad that you put up, by the way, the websites of the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Banco Central in Pilipinas, and the other ones at the PSE. SEC just yesterday had about a 3-hour program in Tagalog on how to spot scams, and it was marvelous. They had, I forgot now, 3 or 4 different speakers. They had question and answers from around the world, and you could tell that the people were asking questions, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, if you're asking that question, you must have gotten ripped off. And, it's kind of like, well, who do I report a scam to, and so on. Why don't we pay attention to the red flags? And, so when Warren mentioned about, how the BSP is, I don't think they're really regulating the cryptocurrency at this point, but they are kind of keeping an eye on things. In my view, that should tell an investor something. That even the central bank doesn't really know how to handle this, what to do with it. Some central banks across the world will treat cryptocurrency as commodities, much like when we would buy wheat or oil or something like that. Others treat it as currency. And it's really confusing unless you know what you're doing. So take time to learn. And that, I think, is probably the biggest thing that I would want to suggest to somebody. The other thing...
That's great. Yeah.
Si,
go ahead.
magtatagalog muna kami, Steve. Tagalog muna kami.
Okay.
Ano,
Just
partner.
so our viewers know.
You want to do it? You want to translate for a couple of minutes and then try to...
Yes.
Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Yung importante lang nga sinabi ni Steve, mga kababayan, na kailangan lang natin pag-aralan na mabuti, no? Dapat alam natin yung pinapasukan natin, hindi yung tira lang ng tira. At lalo na kung tignan mo yung Bangko Sentral, pinag-aaralan pa lang nila. At di ba, meron silang sandbox na regulation, they're allowing it to happen, but they're also looking at it and they're keeping an eye on it. Also, mostly because they're still trying to understand it, di ba? Pinag-aaralan pa ng BSP. So if the BSP is still studying it, you should also be studying it. You should also learn as much as you can. I want to go to the next question, Steve. Really, this is for those who are already in it, who know enough about cryptocurrency to actually go out, seek it out, and find ways to buy it. Would you say that the exchanges that they transact on and the wallets that they keep, where they keep the cryptocurrencies that they buy, are those protected against hackers and fraudsters? What would you say is the level of security of those apps and programs and websites?
I think they've tried to do a good job of security. My feeling, though, is that there are a lot of issues with security of our cryptocurrencies. Remember that it's based on
Thank you.
There's a trust issue, and the cryptocurrency is protected. It's got passwords, and it's got it's not really anonymous, but it's kind of shielded a little bit because it has kind of a code that identifies the owner. and so on, instead of a name like we would see on a bank account. But Salve, let me ask you, well, and Warren as well. Have you ever been, you have bank accounts. Have you ever been frozen out of your bank account, or even like an email account? You've forgotten the password.
All the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's so many of them, right? You have so many accounts. You have to remember so many passwords, and you're gonna, some of them is gonna fall through the cracks, and you forget one or two.
I can't count the number of ATMs that I can't use because I forgot the PIN. Oh, by the way,
Exactly.
thank you, Tin Asuncion and Ralph Bonifacio, for the super stickers on
Thanks,
YouTube.
guys.
Thank you very
Hey,
much.
good. So
Hi, Mike.
that's one of my problems with the cryptocurrency, is that if you forget, if I have a passbook to a bank, I know that they have ledgers, they have records, and I can go to the bank and say, well, look, I lost my credit card, or it was stolen, or my ATM card, and they'll say, oh gosh, well, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to issue a new one. And here's your new password.
Because when I open the account in the bank, they know who I am. Is that also true with crypto wallets?
No, not so much. And that's where there is a problem, because your knowledge of your password and all that kind of stuff, that's the only thing that allows you to access that part of a Bitcoin that you own, or the Bitcoin itself, whatever. And if you forget that, there is no registry that you can go to, really, and get help in, resetting the password and so on.
Oh,
so, so we may, don't write it down. Somebody might find it. Well, or, put it on your USB. Well, these things get lost. And I'm sure that that's where I was going next, was that it gets corrupted. The hard drive, I've had computers die. And it's like, all of the work that I've done for the last 5 years was on that computer.
Yeah, or na ransomware ka.
Or ransomware.
Right.
Oh, no. And that's an issue that we don't often think about in the excitement of getting into this kind of investment. And so consequently, people lose their cryptocurrency. There are some people now that have developed software that helps to, if they know part of your password, that they can go in and they kind of take a look around, and then they eventually figure out what the rest of it is, at least theoretically. But remember that this is the algorithms that they use for these things they're built to try to protect the cryptocurrency from thievery and so on. Now, we've seen some cases in the last couple of years where governments are actually able to seize cryptocurrency. They're actually able to identify cryptocurrency. So the idea of total and complete anonymity, or that nobody knows who these crypto crooks are. Say, for example, Salve, you mentioned ransomware a few minutes ago. Ransomware is a malicious software that essentially seizes your machine, and unless you pay the ransomware, for lack of a better way of saying it, kidnapper, some money, which sometimes that's actually not a terribly high amount, you're not going to get your computer back. So one of the things that I highly, highly, highly recommend is backing things up, and put it on, put your information on, maybe it's on a USB, maybe it's on a hard drive, something that can be protected, something that where it is, what it's up to, and nobody else can obviously get to it either. It's protected from fire, it's protected from burglary, theft, and so on.
Yeah. Did you see Steve, did
Go
you
ahead.
see that Ellen? Did you see that Ellen show? Thank you. Well, I had to bring the puppy so
Oh,
that
that's my buddy. Yeah, yeah, you had, yeah, that's my fan.
yes,
Thanks, fan.
this is
Yeah,
your fan. But
yeah,
did you see that Ellen show where the Lola was trying to figure out how to make sure that nobody gets access to her account? So she wrote. So there's a you. She wrote the password in an envelope that she put in a case that she put in a in somewhere else with the key, and then she lost the key.
She lost the
oh
key.
no. Well,
Uh,
it's,
But
it's
then, I
very
mean,
secure.
it's very
yeah,
secure.
and
Nobody's
then
gonna
you
get to it. Not even
nobody's
her.
gonna get to it, and I
Yeah,
think
not
that's
even
a
you.
real case.
Yeah.
That's a real case now where a lot of
Yeah.
people, when they invested in Bitcoin at $200, now what
Oh my
they
gosh.
have
Yeah.
is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, but they can't take it out because the hot wallet is not. They can't access their
They
own
can't
money.
Yeah.
So
access.
I think that's one of the things that you're talking about. Thank you, Jana. But also, Steve, the whole point about no in our country, it's not regulated.
That's right.
So the exchanges or any of the organizations that are getting your money in exchange for Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is, because it's not regulated, who makes sure that they comply with the safety requirements? Like you work with many different organizations. You make sure that these organizations comply. That's why you're the compliance officer, diba? That they comply with the regulatory requirements of organizations like the BSP so that consumers are protected. But if this entire industry is not regulated, who's
Well,
making sure that these organizations are complying with the strict requirements? Their brain is bleeding, they said in the stream.
in my view, voila, there's nobody,
Wala.
Voila.
and
Wala.
that's part of the risk picture that we have to, buddy. What's your puppy's name?
Oh, this is Sylvie, the
Sylvie.
girl version of Loki,
Okay,
Ah.
okay, okay.
the
So
variant.
Okay.
Sylvie, I'll send some kibbles over to you because I love the fact that you barked for me. And it's my heart's with you. At any rate, um,
Oh,
that's one of the big problems is that there really is no regulation. Again, if you're willing to accept that, it's kind of like in the old days before the Securities and Exchange Commission began to write law. Well, the Congress wrote laws, and then the SEC enforces those laws to try to make sure that companies are transparent, that companies are honest in their claims to the extent that anybody is. And if they do lie, if they do try to inflate their value, or they, illegally short sell, or they trade on insider information, somebody is there to enforce those laws. You don't see that in the cryptocurrency. Remember that the whole financial system is based on trust. We don't like to think about it that way. We like to think that there's actually that our paper money has actual gold bars sitting someplace, and not so much anymore. It's based on trust, where the government says, again, this is why I kind of went into the fiat currency before. Well, a lot of us don't trust the government that much anymore. And so paper money is really pretty anonymous. If I go into a store and I pay for a Ferrari in cash, which I can't do, but if I could, and I did that, there's really no way for them to know who I am. I get the car delivered, then I go to the licensing and the other people to put the things on there. The car dealer doesn't know who I am. Well, rules are now built for know your customer and know your client, so that if I bring in a large amount of cash, and try to stay anonymous, red flags and flares go off and so on, and they try to find out who I am, and for that matter, they try to find out what is called the beneficial owner of businesses and so on. So we don't mask things. That's one of the reasons why this latest fiasco, you had the Panama Papers. Now you've got another group that's come up, and it's so undercuts.
We have the Pandora Papers.
Yeah, the Pandora Papers. That's what I was trying to think of. It undercuts our trust in government people and so on, because there's anonymity, people trying to hide money, trying to hide themselves. It may be entirely legitimate that they just don't want to be known as having so much money, which will target them for extortions or robberies or killings or whatever. Okay, I can understand that, but that's not the way our society works. You're supposed to be transparent, especially as a public official. Cryptocurrency doesn't have any of that. And so when cryptocurrency, this gets into blockchain as well. Basically, cryptocurrency is blockchain applied to currency.
Right.
Blockchain, now this is one of the things where the security comes in theoretically. It's hard for me to attack just one node of a blockchain. They call it a blockchain. The chain comes from the fact that a document is stored in blockchain, written in blockchain, however you want to call it, and then it goes out to the storage is on potentially thousands of computers. And for that document to be altered, every computer has to have been broken into and the document altered. It's a massive, I guess you could say it's a backup, in a way, because
Kaya mo ba Tagalogin yun, Warren?
yeah.
I don't know how to
kaya
explain
naman,
that
kaya
in
naman.
Filipino. Can you try?
Sige.
Can you try?
Sige,
The
sige.
way
About every
Steve
two or- yeah,
discussed it.
Just
It's a
stop me
challenge,
at about
just a
every 2 or 3
challenge.
minutes. Yeah.
Sige,
It's a challenge.
sa blockchain, yung sinasabi niya kasi, yung
Tagalog.
security feature ng blockchain. Ibig sabihin yan, kung gusto niyong ibahin yung record o yung nilalaman ng blockchain, hindi lang isang computer ang titirahin nyo. Lahat, yung buong sistema. Yung buong sistema na yun, parang libo-libo ng computer. So yung kailangan nyong i-hack, hindi lang isa. 1,000 computer yung kailangan mo i-hack. Sabay-sabay pa. Diba? So yung sinasabi nila dyan sa blockchain, parang imposible naman yung gawin. Kasi kung 1,000 computer, 1,000 klase ng mga security or whatever, yung mga gawa yun ng sabay-sabay. Imposible daw. Pero sinasabi nga, yun yung sinasabi yung problema lang doon is yung anonymity nang doon sa sistema. And yung comparison nga doon sa existing natin, kaya sa Bangko Sentral, sa mga bangko, at least sila, alam nila kung sino yung kausap nila, yung may hawak ng pera. Yung sa cryptocurrency, hindi ganon, yung hindi nila kilala kung sino yung katransact. So medyo mahirap na mahuli kung sino.
Galing! Ang galing-galing! So ang sinasabi ni, hirap nun yung ginawa ni Partner Warren to explain a blockchain in Filipino. Pwede ka na mag-PhD. Pero yun kasi the idea of the public ledger.
Yeah.
Para siyang notebook ng lahat ng tao na nag-transact na gamit ang cryptocurrency. Lahat ng record nandun sa ledger. At yung ledger na yon is public and it's incorruptible. So kasi kung gusto mo siyang palitan, yun yung sinasabi ni Partner Warren, papalitan mo lang yung lahat ng kopya nito sa napakaraming computer all around the world all at the same time. But yun nga yung cognitive dissonance dun Parang sasabihin natin na it's secure in a way because nobody can change it, and yet the application of blockchain bilang currency, yung currency mo na nilagay na binili mo, pwede ring mawala kasi yung platforms na yon themselves are not secure. I don't know if that's clear enough for all the newbies out there, but I hope Tama ba ako? Am I right, Steve? Because
Yeah.
nga the regulatory systems nagmamine sila dun sa puppy Steve. I'll call this puppy Steve now.
Got,
So
got to look in here.
because there have been news, and I don't know if you're aware of this. Yes, crypto works like the internet. I don't know if you're aware of this, Steve, that in the news, some people have reported that the crypto in their wallets disappeared. And what happens if the exchanges themselves fall? I mean, they close shop, or they fail. What happens then?
Well,
Because the
actually,
regulatory systems are not clear.
that's a very, very good question and a very, very good point. Because if a company fails on the stock exchange, there may be a way to get some money back. If they declare bankruptcy and so on. And if I have money in a bank and the bank fails or the bank is closed by BSP, the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, PDIC, theoretically at least, will reimburse me at some point in time up to a certain amount of money that I have in that bank. There is no PDIC or Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation or insurance corporation anywhere in the world for crypto. If it's lost, it's lost. And that's a point that I was trying to make. If you forget your password, I'm sorry, you don't get your money until you remember your password, because it is private and it's secure. So there's nobody that you can go to and I lost my password. Can you help me? There's nobody that you can go to. If it's stolen, and Salve, you bring up a good point. There have been a couple of exchanges. Did the exchange itself steal the money, or was it compromised in some way? That I'm, kind of depends on the case we're talking about. But if they take your records and stuff and your money, it's pretty much gone, and that will be a risk that your viewers will need to say, okay, I'm just picking a figure at random. I've got 50,000 US or 5,000 US or whatever that I want to invest, and I want to try cryptocurrency. The upside to it is that cryptocurrency is going up right now, in value. I don't know how much longer it's going to go, but it looks like it's going up. Okay. What are the downsides to this? I may lose all of my money, and I don't really have 50,000 US that I can afford to lose. My recommendation would be to find a safer investment, to be real blunt. But it can be invested. And actually, now that you mentioned this, or now that I mentioned this, I'll mention there's a product out called Stablecoin, which doesn't have the volatility or the ups and downs in the prices that we see in like a Bitcoin and some of the other ones. And some people will buy a stable coin and use that for transactions rather than as an investment. And you still have the same issue that the money can disappear, but you don't have the volatility of an investment product. You don't get the returns either, or you can't make money on it, but you still have that safety.
Yeah. So in other words, meron na may iba't ibang klaseng cryptocurrency na nilalabas na iba-iba yung utility, yung stablecoin nga, wala siyang volatility katulad yung Bitcoin na taas baba. Parang mas diretso yung trajectory niya. But I want to ask you, Steve, regarding this. So you're basically saying that the biggest risk to people who buy cryptocurrency is really phishing scams, people going after their data, their personal data, so that they can have access to their accounts. So how do you protect yourself against those things, especially since now that Even our local police are saying that syndicates are really going digital. Even carnapping schemes are digital. They're going after people who are selling or renting out their cars online via social media. It's all digital now, and that's where the criminals are. So how do you protect yourself?
Be aware, and that's one of the reasons why, Warren, the programs that you and Salve are doing, I think, are so great. The fact that you have so many people that have joined us this evening and over a consistent basis, several evenings, that this, knowing what's going on, knowing the red flags of a scam, knowing, for example, with phishing, phishing emails, smishing, the phishing type SMS messages, knowing what to do, and don't get so excited about being able to make money that you don't keep your eyes wide open and know what you're getting into. Sit down, and write it out on the old-fashioned pen and paper, and work out the details, and be open enough to the fact that there is a downside to these things. So it's go ahead.
Parang this adds another dimension, Warren, dun sa sinasabi natin na i-invest mo yung okay lang mawala sa'yo. Hindi lang dahil, it's not just because of the volatility. Hindi lang dahil pwedeng umakyat, pwedeng bumagsak in a blink of an eye, or dapat nag-blink na lang ako.
Yeah, click of a finger. Yeah.
Snap of a
Blink of a
finger, yeah.
finger. Oo, snap of a finger. But also because there's a layer of security issues also. It adds another dimension to that
Yeah,
also.
absolutely. And
Oo.
there's so many wallets, there's so many different kind of cryptos that require you to use a different kind of wallet, and you don't know like the level of security at each point. But I think, partner, we have to go to kasi it's already 8:44. We have to go to the questions from
Ang
viewers.
dami, a lot of questions here for Steve.
Okay.
Go ahead, partner.
Let's start off. Well, let's do something from Jay Ching, because he has a couple of questions already. He's asking, what do you make of El Salvador, and where it's made Bitcoin legal tender, and it's so volatile? I mean, we've seen what's been going on over there. I mean, people just getting the Bitcoin just to cash it out into dollars so that they can use it. They just wanted the handout basically. But what do you think of a country actually adopting Bitcoin as legal tender?
I think first off, I think it's a dangerous game. I use the word game. I'm not sure that's the right. I think it's a dangerous decision. That said, El Salvador has, even though it's a relatively small country, it has some very, very smart people, well-trained, well-educated. It fits their needs, and apparently it fits their needs. And I don't know that I would agree with that for the volatility. So say, for example, if I go in to pay my taxes one day with Bitcoin, or buy anything with a Bitcoin as opposed to a more stable coin, there's some real issues. At what rate? It's kind of like foreign exchange. At what rate do I actually pay things at? And I suspect that was part of their decision-making process, that it is kind of like a foreign exchange issue. As you may know, or if you've been to, for example, Cambodia, if you try to buy things in Cambodia, especially at certain shops, they would actually prefer to have to receive U.S. dollars. They'll give you change in local currency, but they want to get paid in U.S. dollars. That may be the same kind of thing that what El Salvador is doing. It's a small country; they can get away with it down there. So
all right.
I shouldn't say down there, but that's my view. I think it's dangerous.
Okay, we have another one from Jay Ching. He just wants to know if you think forex and commodities are less risky than crypto.
Partner Warren, before sagutin ni Steve, nag-comment si Aris, I don't believe on only invest money that you can afford to lose. You invest according to your goals. Very good point yan. Pero ang kadugtong kasi nun for us RFPs or financial advisors, lagi natin yan sinasabi. Kasi the next question there is there really money that you can afford to lose?
Yes.
Diba? It
that's
makes
right.
people think, ano ba yung gusto kong i-risk? Because at the end of the day, it's your personal risk. We all only
That's right.
tell you, diba? Pero it's your personal risk. Is there, Steve, how much money can you afford to lose? Can you tell me now?
Zero.
I
Compared
How much
know.
money can I?
Yeah,
Zero.
yeah.
Not much. I'll tell you that, not much. So that's what, for me, I'm a pretty conservative and pretty safe investor. I don't really go for risky where I could make a lot of money, and I understand that, but I also don't want to be in a position of saying, oh, geez, well, there went $5,000. I could have, I could take it and light it on fire as effectively.
Or you can
And
bring
I'm
me
not.
to the firing range, and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I mean that's far better use of money.
well, it goes. The
There
money
goes
goes up
Salve
in
again.
smoke. Yep.
Better watch
Okay,
out when
wait.
Salve's prowling the streets.
Let's go to the question.
I think
Okay.
also, if I can follow up here with the idea about the forex and commodity.
Yeah.
My whole, remember back when I first started this conversation, the idea of knowing what you're doing, and I don't do forex because it's not something that I'm interested in doing. So if I started investing in forex, I probably am going to lose a lot of money. In the same way, I don't play poker. So if I go out and start playing poker and betting heavily, I'm going to be the sucker at the table that everybody wants to have at every poker game, so that I lose all my money. I don't play poker. I don't do forex because I don't know that much about it. And I would suggest there are plenty of resources. This show this evening, we've been talking for we're 3/4 of an hour. We're going to probably be almost an hour by the time we get finished. And that's just ought to be giving you a taste. And you ought to now say, Steve and Salve and Warren said some really interesting things, but not enough. I need to go study this. And I want to go study this and read a lot about it from good sources. There's also some bad sources out there.
That's true.
And they'll try to get you into investing in things that you don't really know anything about. You'll be all excited. No.
Yeah.
Be very,
Agree.
very cold-hearted about this. This is a business decision. And it must fit your goals. And I think that was a great point. It's not so much a matter of, well, don't lose money. It's a matter of what are your goals? Well, one of my goals is to not lose money and to make money. So I have to be fairly conservative.
Oh.
But for those people who, what's your return on your business, or are you just giving money away? And that to me, that's something. So study it and
Very
get to know it
nice.
real well.
Very nice. In
Okay.
investments, okay, for people who are listening, Teacher Salve's hat here, what Steve is talking about is we must not allow permanent loss of capital. Can you type that in the comment box? Okay. That should be our goal. No permanent loss of capital.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. So you talked a lot about security, right? Somebody said, my God, I can't even open my old Gmail account.
There you go. There you go. That's exactly right. Well,
Somebody lost money in Dogecoin.
If I
go ahead.
can, with Jana's comment about the old Gmail, that's a lesson to all of us in how to protect our passwords, what our files are, and so on. I frankly, I've written all of my passwords down. When I'm at work or in a place where there are other people around, I don't write anything down. But when I'm in my own home, and to the extent that it's a trusted environment, now I don't put up, a big sign that says, here's all of my passwords and hang it on the wall. So if a burglar breaks in or a repairman, they know exactly where to go. I try to keep it someplace. I don't do the lock it in a key and then lose the key, but
Yeah, like
I
potted
when I'm
plant
at
or something.
home for my
Yes,
personal
that's
accounts, I have it written
very
down.
careful. I remember one time, before we go to Aris's last question for tonight, and ladies and gentlemen, don't leave because we are going to announce some stuff. Well, new shows later.
Oh,
But one time, so Steve was in on the money, and then he went up to the second floor, and we wanted to show him the Warren, the ANC offices, and he noted that, ooh, several people opening their Gmail accounts in one computer. Fantastic! I can hack many people's Gmail accounts in
there you
only
go.
one computer.
In
So,
one
That's fun.
computer. Yeah.
sometimes we're just not very aware of our
Yeah.
security
Yeah.
protocols. Right. And
Right.
that's
Absolutely.
you lose money easily that way.
Yeah.
Very
Okay, so let's
interesting
go to
question.
Aris's question. He's talking about President Biden,
Yeah.
considering an executive order for cryptocurrency regulation, like some sort of a national cryptocurrency enforcement team. What do you make of that?
It doesn't surprise me. The Biden administration, has come up with a number of things that to try to make sure that rich people pay their taxes. I don't think they see cryptocurrency as a tool of the poor and the middle class. I think they see it as kind of a
Mm.
rich person's game. So it wouldn't surprise me that they would try to do something and then try to collect taxes off of cryptocurrency, because they could see where cryptocurrency is a way to hide assets, especially financial assets and so on. Will it actually pass through the Senate? I mean, they'd have to do an executive order. Would they be able to actually enforce it? That's a question that I don't know, because of the relative anonymity, unless I'm not quite sure how they would go about finding the assets on the crypto assets. I'm not quite sure how they would do that legally. Let me put it that way. I don't know how they do it legally. They might try to force you to disclose them, but if you chose not to disclose it and chose to lie, I don't know how they would go about finding those things legally. So,
Thank you.
But is that a vote of confidence for Bitcoin? Would you say it's a vote of confidence in Bitcoin?
well, remember what I was saying earlier, that one of the reasons why we trust cash is because we trust the government. Well, for those of us who don't trust the government, crypto is a very good alternative. I don't trust the government, so that's the reason why I don't want to have a central authority with fiat power who can raise and lower the value of my cash, who can actually say, no, that bill has no value at all anymore, because none of it is backed by gold the way it was up until the early to mid 70s. So yeah, it's I mean, it's a trust issue on whether or not you trust the government, or do you trust this other way of doing things. And I got to say right now, I don't trust either. But I've got more trust. The scales are kind of in favor of the government right now, and it's as opposed to crypto.
Okay.
Even though I don't
Magandang
trust
yan.
either
So,
one.
sabihin lang yun mga kababayan, kung gusto niyo ng mas maraming regulation, dapat masaya kayo pag sinabi ni Biden na gusto niya i-regulate yung Bitcoin. Pero kung ayaw niyo naman, dapat malungkot kayo sa balita na yan. So, ganun lang.
Marami po tayong aabangan sa mga susunod na taon kung paano i-handle ng iba-ibang gobyerno ang cryptocurrency, i-regulate ba yun? Gugustuhin ba yun ng community? Kasi the whole point of having a decentralized finance, walang nangingialam, di ba? Pero napakalaking diskusyon ito. Nax, marunong na ako mag-Tagalog, guys. Napakalaking diskusyon at dito lang po kayo tututok para lagi kayong on the dot. Wow, tama ba yung ano ko? Parang hindi. Basta lagi kayong informed. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Warren.
Good to see you guys.
Yes, it's always fun to talk to Steve. I get
That's
a
good.
lot of chismes. No, just kidding. Steve and I are never serious when we do our chats, but I get a lot of information
Get a lot of
about security.
information. Yep, it's
Thank you,
good.
everybody. Final words, final words. But before the final words, invite ko po ulit lahat ng viewers. Make sure you have subscribed. Pag hindi pa kayo
Mhm.
nakasubscribe dito sa YouTube channel, kukurutin ko kayo, guys.
Subscribe, hit that button, ring the bell.
Subscribe! Baka makalimutan
Ding,
ng
ding,
mga
ding.
titas. Tenor! Thank you so much. Dito sa Kumu, Steve, people are talking about money laundering and cryptocurrency. So I think that's another topic that we can go into next time pag
We'll
mga
have to
3
be back.
hours. 3 hours na po yung ang haba
Yeah.
ng show natin.
Oh,
And so, don't forget, ang mga tita, huwag kakalimutan. Oh, Encourager Lael said, thank you so much, Sir Steve. You sound
Oh,
like
my
a
goodness.
subject of the Queen of England.
God bless you. Thank you.
Oo
Yes,
nga.
yes.
Guys, don't forget, subscribe Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Kumu, IG, all about personal finance, financial literacy, investing. You'll find it here. And we are now still on ANC. Warren is on TV Patrol still. And we have a new show on Teleradio every Friday, 3 to 4 p.m.
Wow.
Business above usual. Tagalog na Tagalog po tayo doon.
Tagalog na
Nahihirapan
Tagalog
ang
po.
aking damdamin. Kasi Bicolana po ako, hindi po ako marunong mag-Tagalog. Pero nag-survive naman ako, partner Warren. Hindi ko
Kaya
alam
mo
paano
yan.
mo nagagawa yun eh.
Kaya mo yan. Naku, ikaw
Okay,
pa.
final words from Sir Steve and then Sir Warren.
Just know what you're doing. Take time to study it before you actually spend money on this, and read some books, study some YouTube videos, and listen to Salve and Warren. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Wow.
Steven.
Sabi ni
My God.
Tin Asuncion, more of Sir Steve.
Yeah,
Di
they
ba?
like you, so you have to
Oh,
come back. You have to come
Yeah, I'll
back.
be back. Yeah, well, that's for you guys to decide when. So let me know.
Sa pagbabalik po ni Sir Steve, ikukwento ko po sa inyo kung paano ko siya nakilala. Napaka-juicy po ng kwentuhan na I was telling them, Steve, about how I first met you. I'll
my
tell
gosh.
them when you come back.
Yeah, we'll tell them when to come back.
Yep,
Good.
very juicy
Yeah,
story. Okay, final. Oh, pwede daw i-mine. Somebody is
Mr. Steve,
wants to
yeah.
mine you.
Of
They're
course.
saying
Of
mine
course.
industry. Partner Warren, your turn. Final words.
Oh no, I just want to echo what Steve said. You know, you just have to learn more so you can earn more. Again, coin from Warren Buffett. We're here every Saturday. We're going to find the most knowledgeable people out there to help us educate you and inform you better. And we got for you this weekend Sir Steve Cutler to talk about security. So I hope you all benefited from that. And next week we're going to have even more interesting topics with resource people that are just as good as Steve. Hopefully, just as exciting, as just as knowledgeable, and we're going to keep on doing that so that you guys can be better informed and you can improve yourselves personally and financially. So thanks again for watching.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Partner Warren. That group of people that are better than Steve, that group of people is very tiny. Well,
You should have like Steve all the time. You know,
I know.
he's the he sets the bar. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, before we go, reminder to everybody again, subscribe, share with everybody you know, because you might be changing somebody's life or saving someone from permanent loss of capital. And here, when you're trying to learn about how to maximize your money or your income, ganito po. May nakasanayan na tayong level. Every day, every week, every year, challenge yourself to level up a little further. So minsan, parang yes, nosebleed, ang hirap-hirap po intindihin nito, pero promise po talaga, pag inulit-ulit nyo, in the end, naiintindihan nyo na rin. So wag tayo matatakot. That's the only way to improve. If we're just like si Steve, kung yung firing range niya, same lang yung haba ng distance, yun lang at yun lang, hindi talaga siya gagaling, 'di ba? Pero if you're putting your target further away, right, Steve? And then
That's right.
and then he's good at it, and then next week gumagalaw na yung target niya, tapos sa susunod na linggo siya na yung tumatakbo. nag-i-improve tayo. So yes, nosebleed po tayo dito minsan, but keep coming back because eventually baka kayo na ang ini-interview namin dito at kayo na ang aming resource person or kayo na ang palitan nyo na
Yeah.
kami ni Warren, pwede naman.
Oo.
Thank you. Maraming salamat. Sorry po ang daldal ko. Bye guys. Maraming salamat. See you again next
Bye.
Saturday, same time, same place in your living room. Bye everyone.
Bye, guys. Keep safe.
See you.